Why are you depressed? Understanding mental illness. There are three basic forms of mental illness in mankind: schizoid, depressive, and psychopathic, but first we have to understand the mind itself before we can understand the disorders. Our minds are quantum fields that are tied to our brains, but not limited to them. They are energy fields that exist separately from our bodies that serve them. Our minds exist in a state of duality between the creators we are to become, and the animals we were, and it's up to us to choose which we want to be. We exist in an evolutionary transition, and as a consequence every human lives in two realities: the one they create in their mind they directs their choices in the future they create, and the reality nature provides for us to grow up in and learn to make choices. Every human mind is a quantum field, and all human minds together form an embryonic quantum singularity. Humanity is part of a pregnancy of the multiverse itself. We exist in a limited trial offer at life. You weren't asked to be born because you haven't been yet, not fully. That is what is determined in the here and now, by very own choices. We have one instruction to follow that makes our birth into our juvenile automatic: be kind and take care of each other. Our evolutionary challenge is to see if we make that choice. The human superego exists as an embryonic singularity, as a bubble of individual energy cells. To reach its juvenile state, it has to reach resonance and amplification, so we gain our amplified mind state and quantum self-awareness. The design for achieving this is to each mind individually coming to harmony with the prime mind that serves the entire multiverse we form part of. If we each reach harmony with it, we also come into harmony with each other, and that is the requirement for reaching resonance and amplification. Nature is always pushing our minds with information, training us, guiding us. When we cannot manage the information, or make self-destructive choices, that is when problems ensue. Schizoid affliction is when information within the singularity that is not meant for your brain enters your brain. This typically only occurs in people with high intelligence, because intelligence is a measure of bandwidth available to the brain, which makes it more difficult to filter, and occasionally the filter breaks down to the point that interference gets through. Brain injuries can also cause this condition. If the interference cannot be channeled separately, then the brain cannot manage the chaos and schizophrenia ensues. If the interference can be channeled, then the brain can form a splitter, allowing the addressed information to be processed normally, while the interference information just flows through like an expressway and back out. With this, genius ensues, because they have all that information flowing by they can look at and take if they want. Since they choose to access the information, no chaos comes from it and it can be put to use. The most common manifestation of this condition leads to artists who usually have 120 to 140 IQs. This situation can also occur in old age, filter degradation leading to dementia, or can have the opposite reaction of connection degradation, which leads to loss of brain function. Suicidal, addictive, and depressive disorders are a result of us failing to follow our only evolutionary instruction: be kind and take care of each other. We do not do this as societies, much less species. We choose to live off the profits from human suffering. The natural evolutionary reaction to that is make us feel bad, so we change the choices we make improperly. The meaning of life is choosing to evolve, to learn to make constructive choices rather than destructive choices. In the end, we make destructive choices because they are fun and easy, and add to the convenience in our lives, and move us forward in the game of most that we as a species have chosen as the meaning of life. One of the features of free will: we create the lives we choose, and these are the lives we have chosen, lives that produce chaos because everyone is choosing to compete against each other and for themselves, when evolution requires them to compete with each other to the benefit of humanity as a whole, and choose to form a harmonic human superego. Psychopathic disorders aren't technically an illness or disorder, they are a defect. 1% of humans have a broken genetic code which leaves them void of compassion. They are unaware of the other humans in the humanity cell within the singularity. The rest of human psychopathy is a defect in choice, and it is this psychopathic choice that leads to the sad conditions. Whether we choose to be or not, we are all part of something greater than ourselves, and only when everyone has what they need can anyone achieve their potential. We choose to treat other humans psychopathically. Our very economy is based in the psychopathic profiting from slaves and the exploitation of human suffering. This is the choice that brings depression, the choice to accept the economy that supports us. We have an option to all this, but it requires we create the solution that makes all humans an equal value when it comes to access to the resources they need. It is the hydrogen economy that gives us that capability. h2space.org. Like and subscribe.